Imagine being told that your body is perfect, perfect enough to contain the power of a god, perfect enough to do what no human in 1,000 years could achieve, and yet that same body might one day destroy you from the inside out. Ironic for a perfect being, right? Well, that's currently Kawaki's reality. This so-called perfect vessel for Isshiki Ōtsutsuki, the boy whose body was fine-tuned to handle divine energy, now stands on the edge of self-destruction, because the more power he absorbs, the closer he gets to repeating the very curse that he swore to erase, the Ōtsutsuki clan themselves. Join me in today's newest Naruto Explained video, where your OBC, your original Boruto chief, is gonna be diving deep into why Kawaki's body is destined to fail, how Amado's warnings hint at an inevitable collapse, and why his obsession with power is transforming him into the very monster he once hated, Isshiki himself. And to understand that, we have to go back to what made Kawaki so special in the first place. And real quick, the chapter review should be up on the channel by the time you guys are seeing this, which it will be linked in the description box and in credit for those you guys who haven't seen it yet. Also, don't forget to subscribe and check out my Anime Explained channel, where I discuss other anime and manga like My Dress Up Darling. The new video on the full love story of Gojo and Marin is now live, and my Everything One Piece Explained channel, where I only talk about One Piece, like my new video on Ace, and I blind react to every One Piece chapter as a brand new reader. Both will be linked in the description box. So let's just get right into it. Kawaki, the perfect vessel. So Kawaki wasn't supposed to exist, at least not as he is now. Isshiki was supposed to resurrect into his body, and Kawaki, his soul, wasn't meant to exist anymore. Before him, there came potentially hundreds of failed vessels over 1,000 years. They all failed to get the Karma Seal. They all died, unable to withstand the overwhelming density of Isshiki Ōtsutsuki's power. Even Jigen, Isshiki's chosen host, chosen in a moment of desperation, he wasn't perfect. His body literally cracked apart whenever Isshiki used his power for too long. That's how dangerous this energy is. So many children died before Kawaki even got the power. That's why Amado said the most important thing about karma is choosing the right vessel. Isshiki himself was a being who, with that chakra, possessed a type of divine pressure, the kind of power that reshapes reality and collapses mortal flesh when you view it from that perspective. So when Kawaki survived the karma ritual, Isshiki was rightfully stunned while he controlled Jigen's body. Kawaki's body didn't just hold the power, it would allow him to fully resurrect with no issues. A complete synchronization, no breakdowns, no physical rejections like you saw with Code. In 1,000 years of attempts to happen off screen, this had never happened. Kawaki became the first true vessel, not a puppet, not a placeholder, not a dud, but a body fully capable of carrying out its divine purpose. It's ironic then that this perfection is exactly what will doom him. Because in Isshiki's absence, because he's no longer able to resurrect, Kawaki not only inherited his power, but unbeknownst to him, he's also inherited his flaw, the endless hunger to transcend limits. Just like Ōtsutsuki are continuously seeking out power, Kawaki has become the very thing he has hated. The obsession for more power is very tragic when you consider how Naruto tried to save him. After sealing Naruto away, the one person who Kawaki truly loved and protected, Kawaki made himself into a judge, a savior, and an executioner. In his mind, power equals safety. Given Kawaki's upbringing, it makes perfect sense that he would take that stance. If he has enough of it, then nobody can take Naruto away ever again. Nobody can harm Naruto. But each new threat, it proves the opposite. Code was out there. The Ten Tails evolved because Code wasn't destroyed. Boruto's out there, and now Jura, a being who's forged from Isshiki's residual chakra through Code's Karma Seal as well as the main body of the Ten Tails. He stands as a mirror image, a twisted reflection of the god who once ruled Kawaki's fate when you take that into consideration. When Kawaki faced Jura, he saw something horrifying. Even with his limiters removed, he still wasn't strong enough, just like he told Boruto that was probably going to be the case. He had to run away because he knew he and Boruto are not strong enough to defeat Jura even if they teamed up. And that's when he turned to Amado again, demanding more power, more enhancements, more energy, more ways to surpass his limits. But Amado's response is something that enough people are not focused on. It told us everything. If you push this body even further, any further, it will completely destroy itself. You will not survive. This wasn't a warning about cybernetics. It's a warning about the human limits, about the difference between growth and obsession. Kawaki's body may be divine in the sense that it has chakra, but it's also a body that is bound by mortal limitations. It's also a body that is a complete ninja tool because Kawaki is a cyborg. He is a byproduct of science, playing around with things he doesn't understand. Every new enhancement that he is going to add is going to further contribute to his own instability. Every new layer of chakra and technology, potentially Shibai cells, is going to push him closer to collapse when you consider what Amado is saying. It's not just about his defensive capabilities dropping. He's chasing divinity with a mechanical body that was never meant to contain infinity. And that brings me to the cyborg paradox. Amado designed Kawaki's body as the ultimate hybrid. He was a naturally born human. His entire body was remodeled as a complete ninja tool, and he is now genetically Ōtsutsuki. On paper, it's quite genius when you look at Kawaki's makeup. Regeneration, energy control, nanotech ability, nanotech adaptability, limited self-healing, the power of an Ōtsutsuki, the genetics of an Ōtsutsuki. But the key word here is that there's limitations. Unlike Isshiki's original body, Kawaki, his potential's not infinite. His healing relies on a feedback system of chakra and ninja tech working in balance. As we saw when Sumire and Katasuke tried to experiment on Kawaki to fix his ninja tech, his regen, his self-healing, it was slowing down. Only Amado could provide the answers. It's a moment that showed that there are balance tips with Kawaki's scale. There is a potential for the system itself inside of Kawaki to collapse. And we've already seen that there are hints at Kawaki's instability. His power is growing stronger as time progresses. Amado's tone has shifted from confident to cautious. He's giving big red flags for Kawaki right now. In a way, this mirrors what happens to Jigen, who could only channel Isshiki's chakra for a limited amount of time before his body would crack open. Even when Isshiki revived using Jigen's body, the body couldn't contain that chakra. Kawaki can use the chakra, but now he's asking Amado to push his body further than what it was intended to do. There's a big difference here. Jigen was aware that he was a defective vessel. Isshiki knew that Jigen was not the right choice. Kawaki, he's arrogant enough to think he can contain that power. In a way, you could argue he might think that he's flawless if he gets everything he wants. That belief, that hubris, it is leading to his downfall, because Amado's modifications, any Shibai cells that he gets, they can keep stacking power on top of Kawaki. But Kawaki's body is going to eventually hit a breaking point. His cells, his technology, they're going to get to a point where they're overloaded. He's asking Amado to build him further into a god, and he's ignoring the fact that it's not sustainable. This is very interesting when you consider this is a contrast of Boruto, who is walking the true path of a true shinobi. Boruto is technically a vessel, but he is also a survivor. His body, it earned its strength through pain, through trauma, through training, through evolution. He didn't get implantations the way that Kawaki got ninja tech. He isn't looking for shortcuts. Even with the 10 directions training, Boruto still had to train for that power. While Kawaki is gaining power artificially, Boruto is still gaining power through the methods of a shinobi. He trains, he fights, he suffers, and most importantly, he adapts, because shinobi endure. When you take that method, you can raise your chakra levels. The chakra pathways in Boruto's body, they have been conditioned over time to endure through hardship, molded over time rather than being forcefully rewritten. That's why Momoshiki's power, whenever Boruto does use it, Boruto has built up an incredibly strong base of his own through his own methods. He is in a situation where when he harnesses that power, that human will of his, that body of his that has been sharpened over time, like a swordsman sharpens their blade, like an artist takes time to do their artwork, just like Naruto did with Kurama, there's a bigger payoff there. That is the ultimate difference between the two. Kawaki wants control and power. Boruto wants harmony. And in Buddhist themes, this is crucial because control comes from ego, the illusion you can dominate reality through will and through force. Harmony comes from enlightenment, the understanding that strength is the balance between desire and discipline. Kawaki's shortcut to power, it is a path of ego, it is a path of hubris. Boruto's slow, grueling progression is a path of enlightenment. Yes, Boruto has jumped up multiple tiers, but Boruto did it the traditional way through training. And in the end, enlightenment always outlasts ego. That is why Naruto defeated Sasuke. This is why you hear me say repeatedly, the more you understand about Buddhism and Shinto and Japanese folklore, the deeper appreciation you have for the Naruto series, because Kishimoto and now Ikimoto purposely included into the franchise. In Buddhism, the body is seen as impermanent, a vessel through which desire and suffering can manifest itself. When a person clings too tightly to control, to attachments, their attachment eventually brings decay. Kawaki embodies decay. He can't accept his limits. His fears of weakness are something that he fears more than death itself, because if he's weak, he can't protect Naruto. And that fear drives him towards the same path that Isshiki once walked, believing he can defy impermanence through force itself. And we saw what happened to Isshiki. Everything that tries to reject impermanence crumbles. Ishiki's body rotted away because he couldn't put karma back on Kawaki. Jigen's body cracked when he fought Naruto and Sasuke because he played around with them instead of ending the fight right away. His body suffered for it. Even divine beings like Kaguya. When you look at Kaguya's character arc, she fell because of attachment to control. Kawaki's mechanical body, while he is perfection, it is a physical metaphor for samsara when you take that into consideration. The endless cycle of rebirth and suffering that is caused by attachment. He's repeating Ishiki's sin in a different form, trying to become more than human, and in doing so, he's slowly losing the humanity that made him special. He's slowly losing the humanity that Naruto and Boruto each saw inside of him, making him worthy to save. And when that body finally begins to fail, when Amado's worst warning starts to become a reality, Kawaki will be forced to face the one truth that Isshiki never could. You can't ascend by rejecting your limitations. You can only ascend by understanding them and then trying to surpass them. You have to earn the power you want to gain. Yes, Kawaki is the perfect vessel for an Ōtsutsuki, but that perfection, it is a curse disguised as a gift due to his thirst for power. His body was remolded from ninja tech and divine energy, but his downfall, it is coming directly from desire. Boruto's strength comes from growth. Kawaki's comes from consumption, and one day his body might have enough. The boy who wanted to protect Naruto might end up losing himself instead until Boruto saves him, obviously. And when that happens, it won't be because Kawaki failed himself, but more so because Kawaki became aware that he was becoming the very thing that he hated. This is a tragedy of perfection. This is what makes Kawaki's character so damn interesting. Kawaki's character is going to continue to evolve. He's slowly becoming more obsessed and more mad, and it is very poetic for the character. Obviously, if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing, clicking here on the left to check out that Boruto chapter review, or click here on the right to check out that Every Sign Gojo and Marin Are in Love video, or click here to check out my new video from Everything One Piece Explained.